On today's episode of the Stay at Home Nurse Podcast, we're going to take a behind-the-scenes look at lifestyle entrepreneurship.
Welcome to the Stay at Home Nurse Podcast. I'm your host, Deanna Cooper Gillingham, bedside nurse turned lifestyle entrepreneur. I started my career as a nurse in 1994 and worked in a variety of settings, eventually landing a dream job as a work-from-home case manager. But it still did not give me the freedom and flexibility I desired. So in 2014, I created a side hustle that turned into a multi-six-figure lifestyle business, allowing me to leave my job and move to the Caribbean in 2016. I haven't looked back since. I now travel the world while running my business. I have fulfillment, freedom, flexibility, and fun. I want the same for you. This podcast is here to inspire and equip you to live your best life. Let's get started.
Welcome to today's episode of the Stay at Home Nurse Podcast. Today is a little bit different. This is actually a walking podcast episode. So I'm taking a walk while I'm recording, and my walk is on the beach. So once again, the audio quality will be a little less than optimal unless our editor Charles can do his magic. It's been a little over 3 months since we left our home and have been traveling full time. Even before we started traveling full time, we were lifestyle entrepreneurs in that we, the last couple of years, have pivoted our business from working in our business to working on our business. And that means instead of just working day to day and working our life around our work, we have changed and flipped that over to planning our life and what we want to accomplish and what we want to do in a year, and then working our work around that. So last year was kind of an experiment, and this year, as we've mentioned in previous episodes, we are actually living full-time on the road. Starting June 1st, we left our home in Puerto Venturas, Mexico, and spent a month in Scottsdale, Arizona. Most of that month was preparing for some conferences, coaching, and workshops that we had coming up. We had a beautiful home and were able to balance our work pretty easily and get a lot of work done. It really wasn't much different than what we had been doing in Mexico, working during the day. I might have gone out and done some hiking in the early morning before the heat got too bad, or taking a morning walk, then working for a few hours, and then taking our normal evenings. Starting July 1st, we headed to Las Vegas. We had a conference in Las Vegas. So that was very much heavily conference oriented. All our work was related to being at the conference, working on the conference, meeting people, networking, and collaborating. After that event, we spent a month in Sedona, Arizona. I felt that was where we really got a good balance of lifestyle and entrepreneurship. So there, because of the heat again, I would get up almost every morning and go out for about an hour hike. So I would hike through the different trails in Sedona, come back, do my meditation, do some reading. So my first probably 3 to 4 hours of my day were really spent on lifestyle and self-care. And then after that, I would spend a couple hours every day on work. And some of that time I would go to the library. Our internet wasn't the best at the house that we were renting. So often I would go to the Sedona Public Library and hang out there, get a couple hours of work done, go home, have a nice dinner, and then relax for the evening, either reading or binge watching something on television. I really enjoyed that particular lifestyle of taking care of me first and then work. I found that I had a lot of energy to do my work because I was not feeling rushed. And again, I had taken care of me first. Then the beginning of August, we went back to Vegas for another conference and for a workshop and some coaching that we were doing. That again was very heavily based, pretty much solely based on the conference and the coaching. We gave 100% of our attention to those activities, didn't do a lot else. And by the end of that time, I was feeling kind of exhausted. When I do the workshops and the coaching, I really do give 100%. And it can be very exhausting for me, which is why I take so few coaching clients during the year. I love doing the coaching. I love seeing the results that our clients get. But I can be a bit of an empath, and so I take on a lot of emotions and everything that goes along with coaching another person and helping them through all the breakthroughs that they're receiving. So after that, it was probably the second week of August, and we went to spend some time with family and friends back in Pennsylvania. We also had a 2-day mastermind with some very good business friends that have become friends of ours. Renee and Earl Philpott are another entrepreneurial couple. They have a business in Kentucky, and so it was really great for Abby and I to meet with them in person for 2 days and have another couple to really bounce ideas off of, strategize with, talk to about the different issues that come up and is that we have being entrepreneurial couples. We spent some time with our family and friends. We also drove out to the other end of Pennsylvania to be with Abby's family. Met a business contact there also. Spent just about a week over there. That was very heavily, other than our time with our business contact, that was very heavily family oriented. And then we came back to the western side of Pennsylvania, again, very heavily family oriented before we left and came back to Mexico. So that's where this recording is coming from, Mexico. I have to say the last week in western Pennsylvania was a very good balance again of lifestyle entrepreneurship with the work and the play. So basically our mornings were get up, work out, do some work, and around 12, 1 o'clock, spend time with family, usually probably closer to 1, 2 o'clock, go and head out for some family time into the evening. And again, it was a little bit of a different schedule, but very balanced and worked. And it was the same schedule every day. So the same as Sedona, where it was pretty much the same routine every day. And there's something about routines that really make it easy to know when I'm working, when I'm playing, having that time off. It's different when you're an employee. You know when you leave your place of business, you're done. Even when I worked from home, I knew when I was done. I would, close off my computer, shut it down for the day, go out of my room, lock the door, and I was done working. But when you're an entrepreneur, one of the difficulties a lot of people have as entrepreneurs is that you can always be working. So sometimes you never really have that separation and that downtime, that self-care time. So getting into those routines as quickly as possible when we end up in a new location has been very good for me and helped me. As much as I don't like certainty, I like new things and I don't like to have a tight schedule. I like to have an informal schedule. So I like to know that between certain hours, I'm doing work. It can be whatever work I choose to do that day, whether it's responding to emails, whether it's a project I'm working on, I get to choose. Do I want to be working with people or do I want to be working alone? And that's based on my energy. If some days I really want to talk to people and communicate, and other days I just want to be in my own little bubble. So I like having the flexibility to do that, but also having the structure of knowing what hours in my day I have set aside for working so that I actually get things accomplished that I want to get accomplished. So now that we're in Mexico, we took a day and just had pretty much a fun day. I don't even know if you'd call it that. It was a travel day. So it was a non-work day, but it was a travel day. So all of our time was spent flying. The next day we took the morning and we spent some time at the pool, got some sun, enjoyed ourselves, and then we went and got some lunch. And after lunch, honestly, we were both like, okay, we are done with the sun for the day. We want to go back and get some work done. So we were able to go back and just knock a few things off of our to-do lists. Today has been more of a heavy work day. That's why this podcast is being recorded as I walk, because we got up in the morning and we did have some things that were kind of pressing and we wanted to get done and just off our place, because we will be traveling in a few days for over 24 hours when we're traveling from Mexico to Europe. So we have some things that we want to get done before we do that. And we know once we get to Europe, there'll be a time difference, jet lag, and our schedules will not be as defined for the first day or two as we figure things out. So it was important for us to get those things done today. So that's a little bit of a behind the scenes of what it's really been like for the last 3 months with our lifestyle entrepreneur journey. And I wanted to share that with you just so that people get a real idea. I think sometimes when you see social media, and even my own social media, sometimes it looks like I'm playing all the time or traveling a lot, which I am, but I also have to make sure that I schedule that time for self-care and that I schedule that time for actual work. I will say that doing this has made me really focus on and realize what's important in my work and what is just busy work. So whether you have 40 hours a week, 60 hours a week, or 80 hours a week, it seems like as an entrepreneur, you always have more that needs to be done than time to do it. But I have found even when I go down to 10 and 20 hours a week, I can still get the really important things done. It's just been trying to figure out what those really important things are. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Stay at Home Nurse Podcast. Remember, we have a Facebook page and a Facebook group dedicated to this podcast, the Stay at Home Nurse. I would love for you to join the group, like the page, and comment on this or any other podcast episodes that are out there. Also, this is a great way to bring up a topic or discussion that you feel would be great for the podcast. Until next time, adios from beautiful Cancun, Mexico.